Well, we've been saying this word a lot, Diddy. And did he do it? I think there's a lot of evidence to point to. Yeah. My God. There's so many charges that have been brought against him and so many accusations. The latest, at least as of this recording, because there's new ones that pop up every single day. Thalia Graves, she's hired an attorney to bring this case, Miss Allred, against Diddy. And the charges in this are quite shocking. It takes it even a step beyond the sexual abuse. We're adding in videotaping the act itself of rape between him and his bodyguard, allegedly, and then distributing the video. Joining me to discuss, Siobhan Scott, psychotherapist and author. Yeah, the depravity just keeps getting darker and darker with Diddy, does it not?
Yeah, it really does. It really does. Just an absolutely monster of a person.
Uh,
And with this many accusations, it's as you say, I think a reasonable guess that at least a good chunk of it is true.
when there's smoke, there's fire. I think you can't even see the smoke anymore. I just think it's just blazing flames flying
Yeah.
out everywhere. Let's talk about, uh, I guess, just the fact that someone would do this in general. This is not, a consenting couple videotaping themselves. This is an allegation of rape in the studio with him and his bodyguard, and then taping it, and then
Hmm.
holding it over her head and showing it to
Hmm.
people over the last many years. It was just in 2023 that Graves had learned about the recording itself, and now has filed a lawsuit after Cassie Ventura's sex trafficking lawsuit, and then obviously some more evidence to show that Cassie's claims were true. Um, What's going through someone's mind, that's thinking that this is the right thing to do, over someone? I don't know. It
Yeah,
just it
I think it's
defies.
yeah, I think it's about power, and I've seen it a lot with sexual perpetrators that they photograph, they video, often in secret, and for some of them, that's as far as they go.
Mhm.
It's the secret and it's the sense of power, and it's like, look what I can do, that's motivating for them. But with so much of the allegations against him and some of the video we've seen, this guy takes pleasure in humiliating people and in hurting people. And that's really sadism. We talk about psychopaths, and sadism is another layer that goes with that. And, it's just incredibly troubling. It's troubling to hear about.
Well, it just seems like, if you wanna incriminate yourself, yeah, videotape it. You wanna get caught, show
Hmm.
it to your friends.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that seems to be what was done. We don't have all the details yet on exactly how this was distributed, or why, or sent out. It was digital. I don't know. Um, but I would think, one must think they have such an incredible level of power that they can
Yeah.
show a video of them raping someone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. You nailed it.
yeah, and then that's going to be okay. That somebody along the line's not going to go, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, it's really surprising that he's gotten away with so much for so long, but that again, we look at the combination of really troubling personality traits, and I think it's narcissism when you see that with perpetrators, that they really think they're smarter than everybody else and they're going to get away with it.
Well, this is obviously something where she's finally, come out with this, and let me have you answer this question, because the first thing that the doubters will ask is, why did it take her 20 years to come
Yeah.
forward with these accusations? I think I know the answer to that, but why don't you explain why one would take that much
Yeah,
time?
it's incredibly common for victims to wait decades before, and this goes for male and female victims, because a lot of men as children are sexually assaulted too, and sometimes they never tell. And I think this goes to the sense of shame and the trauma that a person who's been victimized like that has, because almost uniformly with PTSD, people blame themselves for what happened. They blame themselves for being foolish, for, drinking too much, whatever the situation might have been, and they internalize that guilt and shame and just try to put it out of their minds and move on with their life. But unfortunately, that usually doesn't work very effectively.
Yeah, yeah. In something like this, I mean, it is up to the victim if they do want to talk about it, if they do want to share it. They don't have to re-expose themselves for everybody else. It's
Yeah, very true. And
entertainment.
often it comes up for the first time in therapy, and sometimes with elderly women, who for the first time when they're 70
Really?
years old are talking about things that happened when they were 8, 9, or 10 years old. And often just opening the door with a therapist, then they become empowered enough because they are believed and they are encouraged to do something to take action, and that's when they speak out.
This video that they speak of, because of course they're arguing and they're saying that the Diddy side is saying, "Oh, not true," as they've said to everything thus far. Is this something, if it exists, is this something that would have to be shown in court uh, to further corroborate their story and the accusations, or can this? I mean, otherwise it is just kind of a he said, she said. But I guess if you have other people that are willing to testify or subpoenaed, and this is a civil case right now, um, what would they need to show to really prove that this happened, other than we have a pattern of behavior right
Boy, that's a really good question and really troubling. And I think since it's a civil case, it may be up to the victim
now?
how much of that is exposed. And I would think that you could probably show portions or
Yeah,
snippets without going through the whole thing.
yeah.
That would just be my guess.
Which hopefully that they don't have to show any of it,
Yeah.
or just, I mean, hell, R. Kelly had his shown in the courtroom, and they still acquitted him. It's
Yeah.
like, we don't. That's not. That looks just like your bathroom. That's your Soul Train award in the background. No, it can't be him. Can't be him. You
Hmm.
never know, well, quite exactly what's going to happen with the
That's right.
jury. There are just so many accusations against Diddy right now. Some seemingly, I mean, most I would say honestly, seemingly be fairly legit, and others just kind of coming to the party. And we're just learning about so much bad behavior outside of the sexual assault allegations that we've heard so much of. One of those things that has been coming to the surface quite recently is the death of Kim Porter. That was his longtime girlfriend, the mother of some of his kids. She died ways back in 2018, I believe, when she passed away. The autopsy showed it was some sort of like a flu-like symptom that she had, and it was never really looked into much further. There was, though, an autopsy that did in fact take place. There's now a book that is coming out that's claiming to be the secret memoir of Kim Porter. The first thing we heard from the Diddy clan, including his kids, that this is all fake. This is all fake. It's only apparently like 60 pages that she had allegedly written down. And I can see where the path of this piece may be a little questionable, if it is legit or not. But it does continue to paint a picture of a possibility of the madness that he was exhibiting with her in his daily life.
Yeah, it sure makes sense to look at it closely. And whether what's in the book or not actually, captures it well, we don't know at this point. And is somebody profiteering off that? That would be unfortunate.
Mhm.
But I think everyone this guy has touched and everything he's done in life should be looked at
Yeah,
because I mean, if there's this many victims, how many more are there who will never talk
yeah.
because of the shame that they feel?
I mean,
So.
is there a risk right now with? I mean, everybody. I mean, everywhere you look, there's a new accusation, and everybody right now seems to be piling on this. Whoever had interaction with Diddy at some point in time, or mentioned a party, or did anything, they're trying to connect it to his very dark world. And LeBron James once said, "There's nothing like a Diddy party." Ellen DeGeneres has said something about, I want you to come to my party. She's apparently been to some of the parties. There's just accusations everywhere, but there's lots and lots of people who went to Diddy parties. Um, is it? Are we casting too wide of a net right now? Just as a society that's observing this case, kind of almost somewhat incriminating anybody that may have been around this man when there's been a lot of people around this man.
Yeah, I don't know, just my personal opinion, we're kind of distorted in this country with the idea of celebrity
Yeah,
and that anybody who earns money, and has a big ego that we should celebrate them in some way or want to go to their parties. And so I think it's a good thing to kind of poke at that a little bit and say, you know what, character matters and integrity matters, and the kind of person that you are, the way you treat other people, that's all relevant. And if you suck up to a psychopath, it does say something about you. And so maybe people would do well to stop and reflect about that.
Yeah, I mean, are we going to see an undoing? I mean, it'd be pretty incredible if we did. But are we going to see an undoing of our obsession with celebrity culture in our country as more and more of these, these heroes that we've celebrated all these years, the mask has been coming off. I mean, it's been coming off for years beyond just Diddy. I mean, Bill Cosby,
Yeah, yeah.
R
Political
yeah,
figures,
R.
sports
Kelly.
figures.
Look, I mean, it
Yeah.
goes on and
Hmm.
on. There's just so
Yeah.
many people where if you had said to us in the 1980s, guess what's going to be coming out of the news 20 years from now? I think everybody would be like, nah, that's
Yeah.
impossible.
Yeah.
But so much of this stuff was going on right underneath our noses.
Exactly. And people tend to look at the wealth and the power, and they're not always even terribly talented people. It's a lot of PR.
Yeah.
And I think it's really good for everybody to stop and think about celebrity worship. And it's America, you know.
Yeah.
It's people market themselves, and sometimes they market themselves really effectively, and they're really terrible people.
Is this going to make people feel more empowered to speak out if they are currently in situations like this? Because there's obviously far more powerful people than Diddy that engage in things like this. People who probably aren't even well-known names that anyone is aware of. Just a lot of money and a lot of power.
Yeah.
Just because celebrity aren't the only people with money in our country, but I think we tend to forget that sometimes. So you have a lot of people, I think, operating, just directly under the nose of everyone, but because there's no microscope on them, or nobody's like really looking that closely in to their actions. So the question is this going to empower women, men, whoever may be in
Yeah.
this sort of abusive type situation where they're being taken advantage of at sex parties or things like this, and this is just kind of what they do, to speak up, to say, this is not okay treatment. I'm not going to do this anymore. Are we going to see some of those worlds crumble down, or are they just so well insulated by the money and the power that some of these people have that, yeah, I mean, all of us out here on the outside can say, yeah, speak up, get out. But when you're in there,
Mhm.
it's not that easy.
No, it's not easy, but I think it's just like the Me Too movement had a big impact on, I think, how powerful people treat other people. It's like seeing that there are consequences. So I think it goes both ways. I think it will empower people who have been victims, and it will also maybe rein in people who are perpetrators or potential perpetrators. They realize, oh, people do go to jail for this.
Mhm.
They had better start, controlling their dark impulses.
It one would certainly hope that this could move the needle on that. I mean, certainly it seems like the Me Too movement has moved the needle there.
Yeah.
This is just like another. It's like a tendril deep into the underground of it when we're really seeing how these people have operated for so many years. Um, Not only the individuals who are being victimized. Do you think this is going to change any of those monsters that are out there? Those super wealthy, narcissist, sadist type individuals that out there are out there. Does this scare them? I mean, we have, jail, we have all sorts of things to hinder people's, um, things that they do, crimes that they commit. And it oftentimes doesn't really hinder anybody from doing a crime if they're going to commit a crime. Will any of this hinder those sort of folks from being the victimizer? Does this make someone like that step back and go, "Hmm, maybe I shouldn't be doing that," or is it just like this, just so it doesn't even they don't absorb it because they don't get it, but it's about them.
I believe in the power of social learning. People
Okay.
do learn from what they witness. And there may be some that are so extreme and so far gone, and just really drunk with power that it's not going to stop them. But I think a lot of people do pause and consider. how they behave. And yeah, a lot of the celebrities that have gone to jail or completely lost their careers, over the allegations, sometimes that haven't even, had legal consequences for them. They've made settlements out of court or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think it does have an effect, and every little bit is a good thing.
Yeah. Hopefully, we'll continue to see that. Another allegation that came out against him recently: revenge. Let's talk about revenge with individuals like this that are this narcissistic and have this much power. Allegations that I believe it was in 2012. Diddy, and this is actually in the arrest report. It doesn't go into great detail other than saying something about revenge and arson. The allegation is that in 2012 he firebombed a man named Kid Cudi, his car, over in a former relationship that he apparently had with Cassie Ventura prior, and jealousy, anger, rage, all of that. Um, that's like a big thing. Like, I don't know, firebombing someone's car. I guess how I mean, how does someone stay so insulated from that for more than 10 years ago now? And I don't know, it's kind of baffling that no charges had ever been really brought against him for this sort of thing. And it was just kind of always out there in the ether, and now it's coming to light that, oh yeah, really, it was him.
Yeah.
What does that say about the revenge on things like this? And does he still hold power? Is there people that should some people still be afraid to come out against him for fear of some sort of retribution from his goons?
I'm sure there are people who know things that are afraid to speak out just for that reason, because, we're talking again, as we often do, about the cluster B
Hmm.
personality pathology. And those folks tend to be very vengeful and seek revenge. And so it doesn't surprise me at all that he would do something like that. And he's probably done other things, and we hope that people feel safe enough at this point to come forward about it, because he needs to be put away.
This is going to make for one hell of a Netflix series. We were talking about it off the air. Like we've seen the Dahmer one, now we've seen the Menendez one.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the Diddy one because this it's so. If you wrote this script, people would say it's too extreme. It's like
Too
this
much.
is too much, and
Hmm.
but unfortunately, it's not, and it's real people's lives that have suffered.
Yeah.
Finally, hopefully, some justice is coming. Hey, thanks for checking out the video. Be sure to follow us wherever you download podcasts, and especially Apple Podcasts, where you can get advanced episode and premium content on our premium channel right there. Also, be sure to follow us on social media so you don't miss any breaking updates on the stories that matter to you most. We're on TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook. Just search Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Bruschi, and you'll find us right there. Again, thanks for watching.